Welcome to episode 173 of the Whatnauts Review Show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. This could be a movie, TV series, anime, manga, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of entertainment. We watch it, read it, listen to it, and then we come back here and we discuss it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson, and I am joined on this very special episode, not by my usual co-captain Kyle Springer, but instead, special debate team new co-captains. We have Alan and Ignacio from Crossplay joining us here this week.
Happy to be here. Happy to be here.
Prodigious, as they say.
No, they do not say that. They do not say that.
To certain people, they say that. The prodigiosity may live in your heart.
Yeah, the Digimon Discord says it. Izzy says it in the dub. I mean, people say it.
I don't know. I've never heard him say that.
So,
never heard him say that.
As you can tell from the unique tone of this week's episode, it's a very unique one. Based on what I understand is an ongoing argument over on Crossplay, which I've only experienced on one episode of the Captain's Log that you guys joined us to do a couple weeks ago.
Even though it's not really a fight between Ignacio and I, it's me admitting that they're both good, and Ignacio at every turn shuts me down. So Ignacio,
for it to be a fight, you would have to have two sides that have an opportunity to stand. I'd like to stand for it to be a fight.
Well, we're bringing the heat to the review show here today. We are watching the Digimon Movie, which is the theatrically released here in America in the year 2000, I think, movie about Digimon. Yep. And we're also watching the 3 original Japanese animated special mini movies that the American Digimon Movie was edited together from. So we're watching this dubbed American product and the 3 original pieces of Japanese original content.
Yeah. So we watched the Digimon Movie, Digimon Adventure, released in 1999. Digimon Adventure, our war game, or children's war game, depending on who you ask. And then we also watched Digimon Adventure 02, Hurricane Touchdown / Miracle, the Golden Digimantle, something about that.
Wow.
Something about Miracle.
I didn't even know they were all called that. You just sent us links and it's just like Digimon 02. I didn't look at the titles. That's a lot of words to put in a title.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about our histories with Digimon. I was big into Digimon at this time when this movie came out. It came out the week before my 10th birthday, and I insisted on seeing it both on opening night and then 1 week later on my birthday.
Wow.
I loved it that much. I dragged my older brother to take me to the movie theater. He would have been 23 years old. And I asked him, do you remember this at all anymore? What were your impressions on the Digimon Movie? And he's like, I think I fell asleep. Every time I took you to see any kids movie, I just fell asleep and I was enraptured and didn't notice. And as I grew older, I kept watching the Digimon Movie and I'm like, this is a mess, but it's a mess that's still very close to my heart. And I was glad to have this opportunity. I knew it was, some original Japanese specials stitched together. I was happy to finally get the opportunity to see what this thing came out of.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alan, how about you?
Okay. So my history is when I was growing up, I don't quite remember my childhood, in depth, because when the movie came out in 2000, I was depending on what day of the year it came out on, I was either 6 or 7. So I was super young. I don't think I was old enough, or I don't remember far enough back if my parents brought me to the theater. So I think I know we owned the DVD of it. That's how I watched it. I watched it all the time. But I had a lot of Digimon toys when I was young. I played all the PlayStation Digimon games. I would collect some of the cards a little bit like the original card game. And the one big memory that always sticks with me is that my parents had to buy me a Digivice toy to convince me to take swim diving lessons because I was too afraid to dive. So Digimon's always been around in my life. It never truly went away, but is that period that as I grew up and kind of developed and learned more things, Digimon kind of took a backseat as I learned more stuff. But now that I'm older, it's back on the forefront again, and I'm all for it. And I'm not really excited that I got to watch these because I just loved it anyways. So I mean, it's not like I was like, oh, I need this opportunity. I just watch it anyways. Like sometimes I just go back and rewatch the dub movie like at least once a year, just because why the hell not?
Wow. Sure.
So
Ignacio, how about you? What is your history with Digimon?
So I was born 1998. The original Digimon series came out in 99 in Japan, and so 1 year later, 2000, it came to Latin America dub. So that means that when the movie came out, I was 2. So of course, I pretty sure I never watched it in theaters. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure you didn't.
I'm pretty sure I was going to the theater pretty young. But I don't know, because of that, Digimon has always been a part of me. I have no idea when I started. I just know that it has always been there. I've always watched it. I remember playing the Digimon Rumble Arena video game for the PS1. I had a Digivice, kind of like this one, orange. It was Ty's Digivice that I still remember the day I lost it. But so I had that. My sister had one for Digimon 02. It has always been there for me, and I rewatched the series multiple times now. Even right now, I'm just finishing a new rewatch of the whole Digimon series, not only the originals that I grew up with, but even those that I didn't watch growing up. And so Digimon has always been a part of me. I watched it with the Latin American dub, which is pretty faithful to the original one. And so when I eventually watched the Digimon movie, it was something that I downloaded from internet, because that's what you did in the 2000s.
You're not supposed to do that.
So it was a movie. I was a fan of Digimon. I was a kid, and so it was a movie that I knew that it was different from the other ones, because since it was a theatrical release, it was treated here like a theatrical release. So it means that it got a theatrical release dub. So it wasn't really dubbing the original one like I was accustomed to. It was using terminology from the American dub and things like that. And so I always knew that it was different. And even the Digi-Rap, which I didn't know it was based on the opening of the English dub, I always thought, oh, okay, it is a one-off thing. It is okay. It is for this thing. It is a one-off thing. And so as a kid, I didn't mind it at all. I watch it. It's very jokey. It is very for as a kid. I know why a kid would watch it, why he would like it. But this whole thing with me talking shit about the Digimon movie started because not that long ago, I think it might have been last year, I decided to watch the Digimon movie again, and I hated it so much every second that I watched it. And we'll get into it later, but I hate how much Digimon has always been to me a show with kids as the protagonist. The English dub, what it is was try to make a kids show out of it. Treat kids like kids. And so that's why I watching it. I really didn't like all the crammed in jokes and all the how it cut down the original movies, which I think that they are great. And so because of that, I really did not like watching it, and I didn't enjoy having to watch it for this.
All right, okay. So that's the energy we're coming in with. I hope we can have a fruitful, interesting debate, a great conversation about this movie.
I hope that
I can tell which one of us is going to be more open-minded about it, but
yeah, I don't know. We'll see how open-minded you are. I already know your thoughts on the last original movie.
Yeah, but you don't know how it all ties together, though. That's the
thing.
We'll see how open-minded you are.
Let's summarize it real quick. If somebody's never seen the Digimon movie, and I imagine the American version, maybe the one that's more easy for somebody to access. Let's summarize that.
Is it though?
I don't.
It kind of expects you to know the show, but it doesn't expect you to know the show. That's the weird
English
thing with
movie
that one.
is actually fairly tough to actually watch because you can't buy it on like you can't buy it. You can't buy it on like even PSN's like movie thing. You can't find it anywhere. I checked Amazon just in case. The DVD for the movie's like $45.
Oh boy!
So you have to like watch like a low quality version of it on YouTube, and that's free. But again,
I have the DVD.
Yeah, I have it at my parents' house, so I don't have it on me. But
sit on it. It will only go up in price. Apparently.
Oh boy!
Sit on that.
Sell that for retirement money.
Yeah.
And to summarize it, not Digimon as a whole, but what you experience in these selections for today. The first segment of the movie and the first of these Japanese specials we're talking about is a flashback to when I think it's Tai and Kari and they're little kids and they encounter their first Digimon. Like a Digimon egg just like shows up in their apartment, and then it opens the little Agumon breaks out. Not Agumon yet. He becomes like
it's
a big Agumon.
It starts as Bodamon, which is the black one, then it grows into a Koromon, which is the pink one, then an Agumon, and then finally a Greymon.
Yep.
I'm not going to remember every single Digimon's name.
Well,
I'm going to tell you that right
that's why
now.
we're here.
I thank you.
We know the name.
Even when I was a kid,
in a Japanese, it's Taichi and Hikari. In America, it's Tai and Kari.
Also, interesting how they changed the name of the place in the Digimon movie, the location of it, because they put in subtitles or titles for it, which is like High Terrace something. Terrace Avenue. I don't know, Alan. Do you know the name?
Because I don't have mine physically on me. I had to watch the YouTube one, and it doesn't actually say where the English one takes place at. So,
really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is still in Japan.
No, it is in Japan, but they call it like High Terrace Avenue.
I mean, it's like a terrace area, but yeah, in the one I watched, and even in the dub one, it doesn't specifically state where
No, it doesn't state, but it is like, this is a place. They
Anyways,
put in title.
Location besides.
No, the reason that I'm bringing it up is because the original place that it's called is Hikarigaoka, or the like mountain of light. Something like that.
Okay.
And so I was surprised that they at least didn't go with the direct translation of it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we see our protagonists when they're little kids. They meet their first Digimon. Another Digimon shows up. There's this big fight in the streets, and then the kids are like, and then the Digimon go away. They disappear when they're done with their little fight, and the kids are like,
they literally David Copperfield out of there.
Yeah. And the second segment is when all the kids are teens. I think they're around the age that they are in like the first Digimon series. They're like 12, 13, 14.
It depends. I actually picked up on this. In the sub, Tai specifically mentions, I'm in elementary school and take elementary classes. In the dub, he says, I'm in junior high and take junior high classes.
That's weird.
I literally watched it this morning. I watched all of it hours ago.
Yeah.
The previous segment also in the dub has a mistake where if you know when the
sub's got a lot of mistakes in it too.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so in the dub, in the Digimon movie, there's a scene where Joe starts calling up people in the dub, and he calls up specifically. I think it was Easy and Mimi. The thing is that he wouldn't know them at that point. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know, Alan. What Alan?
In the sub, Joe doesn't actually call anyone specific. In the dub, he does.
Yeah.
No, in the sub, he is understood to be calling like emergency services because that's what I'm saying.
In the sub, he's just calling something
Joe's
else.
Very responsive.
In the dub, it is Izzy and then Mimi. And yeah, Ignacio is right that at that point, Joe would know them because they only met when they went to the summer camp.
Yeah.
But again, it is also the fact that the English one, as Ignacio mentioned, does expect you to know. So I don't think it is a continuity error, but it's not really something that even like being a massive fan, it doesn't make that much of a difference because you're like, oh, the movie, it connects to the show. And you're like, oh yeah, they know each other. It's a minor detail that's honestly a bit irrelevant, but.
And the second segment, the kids it's summer vacation. You know, some people are on vacation.
It's like a year after the show.
Yeah. Yeah, like some people are out on trips or visiting family, or Joe's taking summer school or some sort of a placement class for a
middle
high
school entrance exam.
Yeah, in the dub, it's summer school.
Right. Yeah. And Izzy finds a Digimon egg online, and it turns out to be a virus. And there's this huge virtual battle where like he goes over to Ty's house, and like him and Ty are like sending their Digimon through the internet to fight. What's the bad guy's name?
I mean, the final form is Diaboromon, but
Diaboromon, right?
Or Diablomon.
Semantics.
But there's a big Digimon they're fighting. No, he's a digital spider.
The reason that I call it out is that one thing that the dub does a lot is censor names. So of course it couldn't be Diablomon; it had to be Diaboromon.
Which honestly, Diaboromon sounds pretty badass. I mean,
it is a cool sounding name.
Yeah, I'm for it.
And in this third segment, it's when the kids are older, like the main kids, like the original group of kids. They're like high school age, and we're with our second set of Digidestined, which is Hari and TK, and then we see Yoli and Davis and Cody. Yeah, and then they all travel to America, and they eat an American kid named Willis or Wallace in the sub. Maybe they thought
that they changed it. I don't know why they changed it.
I can't name you a person under like 55 years old who is named Wallace.
Yeah, exactly.
They probably just wanted it to sound more contemporary.
Willis.
But there's a boy in America who also got Digimon, and there's a big one of them. He had two little Digimon. One of them grew up and turned to a dark side and is now stalking across America, terrorizing people, and so everybody has to go and stop him.
Yeah.
And that's essentially it. There's a lot going on. It's a very cramped, like 95 minutes.
Yeah.
In the sub, it's not, but.
Well, I have the numbers here. So the Digimon movie ends up being an hour and 10, 20, I think. And so for the movies, the original first movie, Digimon Adventure, is 20 minutes long. In the Digimon movie, they cut that down to 30 minutes, so they took away 7 minutes of it. For movie 2, it was originally 40 minutes, and they cut it down to 34. And then the one that they cut out the most was the last section, which originally was an hour and 4, and they cut it down to 35 minutes.
God, and they are both bad for being so short in the dub, and it's so painful being so long in the sub.
How long? It's an hour. An hour.
That hour felt like a fucking eternity.
So did you notice that the Digimon 02 movie is actually 2 parts?
Yeah.
So that's why it has 2 names. The Hurricane Touchdown is part 1, and then the Golden Digimentals is part 2 of it.
Okay.
So, and also the reason that these movies are short is that they weren't theatrical movies. They were released actually as a part of Toei's special. Toei puts up like a special festival each year for the Japanese summertime. And so their Toei puts out movies that they make, short movies made for those festivals. That's why if you notice with other animes, what they have OVAs that are so short, that's why. Because they are usually shown there and they're shown as a 2-parter too. And also the first Digimon movie was actually released one day before the actual show. The day before the show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Good to know. All right.
I have all the facts here.
I'm happy you have all these facts. It's good to learn about Digimon. It was something that was so important to me when I was like 10 years old, and beyond like series 3, like Digimon Tamers, I never kept up with it. never engaged with Digimon in any other format, like video games or card games or toys. I think I had one gel pen with Agumon on it. I think my mom still has it because she doesn't throw away pens. But it was good to revisit this, and I'm happy to learn more. I think now we should take a break for some housekeeping, and then we'll do our spoiler warning, and then we can fully dive into a comparison of the American version, Japanese version, and talk about all of our digital feelings. All right, so let's break for housekeeping.
We put a lot of hard work into the shows that we make, and yes, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and we'd love it if you would check them all out. You can find out more information on our website at thewhatnauts.com, as well as your favorite podcasting platform of choice. When you type in the Whatnauts, all of our shows will pop up right there. Just don't forget to give us a nice rating and review if you like the shows. If you want to support what we do here at The Whatnauts, patreon.com/The Whatnauts is the best place to do that. You can support us for as little as $1 a month. You can get all kinds of exclusive content at the $3 tier. You can also get a shout out and thank you on all of our shows at the $5 tier. You can support us on Twitch by subscribing to our channel at twitch.tv/The Whatnauts, and we would love to have you all join us for our live streams and talk with us in the chat. And lastly, we have merch. If you want to grab yourself a shirt or a sweatshirt or a mug or something else, go to thewhatnauts.com/store to pick up some merch today.
And we're back from housekeeping. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thanks for listening to us here at the Whatnauts. Got multiple other podcasts. You heard us mention earlier Crossplay, our video game show. What have you guys been doing lately on Crossplay?
Well, I mean, the newest thing was Kyle and I went over some of the news of this past week of some Sega Yakuza stuff happening, some Final Fantasy, talking about some upcoming showcases from PlayStation. So you want to find out about all the cool stuff coming out or news that we talked about, then you can check it out on Crossplay.
Yeah,
nice.
I wasn't on this week. I have things to do about it. I'm glad you and Kyle got to hold down the fort for the week.
We did our best.
Got the captain's log, our general chat show here in the review show. Last week was a very different episode. We talked about the prose novel House of Leaves, our first ever prose novel we've ever covered after a history of many comics. We wanted to read a book that was almost entirely words and not pictures.
What? That sounds crazy. I don't. It needs pictures. My imagination is so bad. I can't.
There's a couple pictures in the appendix.
Okay.
That's not enough pictures. I need more pictures than that.
And we want to give a special thank you to all our Patreon supporters at the $5 tier and above. All of our supporters help us keep the lights on, produce these many great podcasts for you. So many different feeds where you can hear us yell about Digimon. And so thank you to Sam, one of our treasured patrons.
Thanks, Sam.
All right, let's get into this. Let's hit that spoiler noise.
Alan, I feel like you might have not enjoyed your time.
No, I did.
So
I
the
did.
spoiler noise didn't play, but I'll put it in there. So
all right, thank you.
Officially in spoiler territory.
I want to point out something very key here. I did actually enjoy everything I watched, subbed and dubbed.
Okay.
But I did actually take, because I have the dub one so committed to memory, I didn't actually need to watch it again to remember everything that happens in it. But I watched it anyways because it's so dear to me. But I did take notes on things that were either minorly different, big or small, or things that I preferred or disliked, or not really things I disliked, things that I thought either I liked or I thought didn't fit across both versions. I did not take notes on the third one because it doesn't matter if it's dubbed or subbed. I have problems with both of those. So I didn't want to spend forever writing the problems on both those. I didn't even rewatch the dubbed third movie today because I didn't even want to deal with it a second time.
Right.
Okay.
Not that the dub one is bad, but because I already know I don't care for the dubbed third movie. And I was already burnt out from the third dub movie being so long and mind draining that I was like, I'm gonna watch the second part of the movie, and I immediately was like, nope, we're piecing out the third one. I'm not watching it. I remember it. I don't want to see it again.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Fair.
third segment of the movie was always my least favorite because the first and the third segments have sort of a dreamlike quality to them. But when you get to the third part, I think especially because so much was cut out from the original Japanese version, I always left that feeling like I was missing something, like it never totally made sense to me. And I was like, is it the movie or is it me? Like, am I actually missing something?
Well, should we just go through
actually see what that was now?
Well, we should probably start by going through each movie or whatever, like from the beginning instead of bouncing around, just to make it more concise. So
Also, I gotta say before that, to be fair, Alan, the third one is also my least favorite. I think that the second half of it is for me better than the first half of it.
I don't like either half.
Oh wow, I liked it more this time that I watched it than the first time that I watched it.
I'll never watch. If I can help it, I'll never watch the dub third one, and I'll never watch the sub third one ever again if I can avoid it.
We'll get to that, but let's start with the first part.
Yep, the 20-minute short, the origin part of the movie.
Okay. Yes.
So
it is.
Who wants?
After watching the original Japanese version, I understand, Ignacio, what you've been saying, that it has a lot more stillness to it. It is a lot more serious. I agree. The American version does have a lot of dub jokes added in, like over parts where like nobody's clearly talking, like you can't see somebody's mouth, or their lip movements are vague enough that you can really play around with what words they're saying. And as I get older, I can see this more clearly. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be in there, but I do understand that a lot of it is in there because that's kind of what they were doing on the show, as far as I remember. They wanted the movie to feel consistent with the show, and I think it does. Those jokes probably amused my mom when I made her take me to see this movie for a second time. And it probably kept my like little 10-year-old friends who didn't care about Digimon. They just had to go with me because it was my birthday. Probably also kept them entertained too.
Yeah. So before we start, we can even get into the how or the why of the Digimon movie.
Oh, that'd be nice.
How it came to be. So, of course, the 1990s were dominated by Pokemon. And so Pokemon around that time had the Pokemon movie, the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back. That movie made a lot of money too for kids. And so Fox, who owned the distribution rights and the dominant rights of Digimon in North America, they saw the success of the Pokemon movie and decided, hey, we want that. We have Digimon. We can do the same thing. The problem is that, as you saw now, Digimon didn't have a theatrical movie. It had 2 short movies that were shown in the festival and then an hour-long movie that was the O2 movie. And so they, of course, had to go to the people that were dubbing the show at that time, which at that time they were still doing the original adventure. They hadn't even gotten to 02. And so they went to them. Those people apparently pitched just combining the first 2 into one movie. And then the second one, make it as a TV special, or even do the second and third movie and do the first one as a DVD special. But then Fox decided, no, we just want all 3 to go together. That's how you get... Damn it. I get that.
Yep, yeah. Real good there at the end. Okay. Well,
it looks like he froze or something there. Oh, is he back? Okay.
Hello?
There we go.
Hello?
Hi, Ignacio.
Hello.
Yeah. I froze there for a second. My internet does it.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. Long story short, they decided to combine all 3 of them, and the result was what you watched there. There wasn't, as you saw with the original ones, there wasn't a story to connect them all, because they weren't meant to be connected. And so that's why you get a lot of mentions of, hey, there's this guy Willis in North America.
Yeah.
He's doing this same thing. Hey, this is our first encounter with Digimon. Did you know that Willis on the US was also having his connection with Digimon? And hey, I know this guy. He's Willis in North America. he was
They
the
talk
guy
up
who
Willis a
funded it.
lot for being a character with no stronger personality trait than being blonde.
Yeah.
It's actually funny. Like, they do mention Willis not mega often, but they do mention him a handful of times. But I at least appreciate that they did try to make the fact that you do gain a lot from watching this series along with these actual movies and everything else. You do gain a lot more. But I do appreciate the effort they put into at least making the movies feel as connected as possible. Yeah, it can probably have it where they're mentioning Willis or anything else, but I do appreciate that everything feels somewhat connected, where you can, like, Amy has never watched the Digimon anime, but she's watched the movie. She's watched the movie with me. That's really her only major exposure to the Digimon TV show. And she really likes the movie. So the movie can still stand on its own. It's not the best on its own, because it's a companion piece more so than anything. But it is still enjoyable on its own, and that I still feel deserves credit.
Yeah.
So,
And the other one thing that I wanted to point it out, the director of the first and second movie is Mamoru Hosoda,
Okay.
who you might know him from The Girl Who Left Through Time, and even he liked the concept so much of our war game, he actually made that into a standalone movie called Summer Wars.
Okay.
all right.
So that's some fun facts for you.
No, I think that fact is fun. I'm gonna have to watch Summer War because, spoiler alert, second part is always has
best.
been and always will be the best
It
part
is.
of it.
It's the best.
It is the best.
So, I mean, unless we're going deep into the plot, because like I said, I watched both, and I literally this morning I watched all three movies, and then I took maybe like a 5-10 minute break, and then I watched the dub movie. So they're all like mega fresh, and on my phone I took like the notes of a bit. So even if I go into a bit of detail, I don't think, and again, I know Ignacio being the more aggro one, he'll disagree immediately, and I'm not trying to like argue with this. I like the sub. I like the sub quite a bit. I like the dub quite a bit. The dub for me does still win in the end because of my nostalgia factor, but I actually like them both for different reasons, and I dislike them both for different, like what one does better, it does better than the sub. What the sub does better, the dub lacks. And my biggest complaint is, especially in this first part, because I'm only gonna stick here, is the music. And some of the voice, so the voice acting is fantastic. One of my biggest issues, especially when I watch the dub, is that specifically the scene where the parrot Digimon, I forget his name, Paramount, whatever the fuck, Paramount. When Paramount is being born out of the sky, in the dub, there's this sense of foreboding of things that are happening, and then it hatches. And there's a bit of Kari narrating over it, which I mean does kind of add of like, oh man, this is a big deal. But for whatever fucking reason, the sub has this like almost like whimsical adventure music that I feel does not fit the tone of what in the hell's happening. I did not. Every time when that fucking whimsical music hit, I hated it. I was like, this is not fitting what's happening.
You think it's whimsical?
It sounds whimsical.
Really?
It sounds all exciting, like we're going on an adventure.
Wow.
No, I'm with Alan.
So
Alan, I'm
different.
really glad you also picked up on this. This was my issue with the sub in all three movies.
Yeah, in all three
was that
of them.
I didn't feel like the score properly served what was going on. I think the American score is better.
Now, I will really quick to go into part two, Ignacio. We'll give this the scene in the second movie in the children's war game where Agumon and Gabumon warp evolve into their mega forms and fight Inframon / Diaboromon at that point. The iconic, I don't know the name of the song, but the iconic evolution theme.
That's Braveheart.
Yeah, but the Braveheart, that iconic song when it plays, that part is probably the one part of the musical score that I felt like I still prefer the dub, but I still just as much loved that one part. But everywhere else, I felt like the music did not hit the right the right notes it needed to.
Wow. Yeah. I'm so surprised because I'm so different with you guys. I'll give you one thing. My one complaint with the original Digimon movie, Digimon Adventure, is that even though I think that the song, which is called Bolero de Ravel, which it was even played on the Olympics, I think that song does such a great job of setting up the mood. You think it's musical? It's so weird to me because to me it is such a like a how do I? It helps set the mood of everything is so calm, but there's something coming that is going to disrupt the whole thing,
But
which I think it is.
That song does not fit that though.
I don't know how you think it's whimsical. To me, it isn't that.
I don't know. I'm not saying the song itself is whimsical. Let me rephrase. That song is not whimsical. When I hear it, that's what it sounds like to me. Like to me, it doesn't fit this giant digi-egg hatching from the sky with Parrotmon coming down, leading up to the big battle of Greymon and Parrotmon. That song, whatever the fuck it relates to you, it does not fit that scene. It does not fit it.
That's so well to me because to me, the one complaint that I'm going to say is that I think it is overused in that movie. Even though I think that specifically every point, if you look at it separately from the others, I think that the song goes very well with every point that it is being played on. That being said, I think that it is putting too much into the movie. I think that it would have been better to have a bit of variety, which comes in at later movies where they add more variety to it. But it blows my mind that you think it. I think it does such a good job going with the theme of the movie, which is this is the real world, but all of a sudden monsters come in, and at the beginning of it is, hey, this is mystery. We have an egg. What's going on? It's a big egg, but it is still an egg. It is normal. But then when Botamon appears, it is, what is this thing? It's this creature. We have to connect with it. And then Koromon is, hey, this is a friendly creature. We're becoming friends with it. And then when it goes to Agumon, the tone completely shifts, and it is more of a, hey, this is a dinosaur that is rampaging through the street. It is it is such a creature of instinct. How it isn't being controlled. It is just pure instinct, and that's how Hikari goes from being, hey, you're my body, to being scared of it. Yeah, and then even more with Greymon at the end. And I think that the score goes so well with it. How it starts at the beginning being so soft, and then as it goes on, it keeps building up, and it goes even wilder and louder at the end.
So two things. So, and then one more comparison. So I do only want to disagree on, you feel like the tone shift happens after Parrotmon shows up. I disagree because, like, in the dub, there's a lot, the dub, okay. The dub with Agumon and Kari going through the streets, there's more kind of, yes, it can be
way jokier. It is.
Yeah, hang on. It can be considered more jokier and more funny of Kari saying things, but the only real funny line that I feel like the movie tries to kind of force, that I like, is the car hitting them, and it's the sleeping. Yes. But I still like that. But I feel the tone shift does not happen when Parrotmon shows up. It actually happens. It happens before that, because after the truck passes and Agumon shoots at it, that's when Kari's like, that's when, especially the dub, Kari doesn't like that. And then it switches to the bus. Then Kari's asking Agumon or Koromon not to shoot at it. And then then swings his head. You see Kari kind of fly a little bit with the head, shoots at the helicopters. Then it forebodes Parrotmon. So I feel like the tone shift happened before Parrotmon showed up, with Kari's demeanor towards Agumon changing because he's being more aggressive and shooting at stuff and destroying things. Not Parrotmon showing up. Parrotmon showing up obviously is the cemented part, but that's where it's like, okay, this Agumon's not being, especially if you watch the anime, this is not the good, this isn't a good Agumon. And then Parrotmon shows up and you're like, oh no, this thing also can't be good if Agumon's turning bad. Yeah.
I don't think the change comes in with Parrotmon. I'm with you that it changes when
Yeah.
when Agumon, he starts attacking things. I think that's when the tone changes, because that's when it goes from, hey, you are the creature that we befriended, you are a dinosaur. It goes from, you're my pal, in a way, from the eyes of Kari, because Agumon at all this point is still being primal, very primal. You see it even in his eyes. It goes from that to, oh shit, this is serious. He was about to destroy this truck. He was about to destroy the bus. And so one of my biggest problems with the Digimon movie, the dub, that I've talked about a lot, I think it is my biggest problem, is that it changes the tone of these movies. The original ones are...
I don't think it changes as much as you think it does.
I think
it changes
way more than you think it does.
And it doesn't change as much as you think it does.
No, because, like I said, it is way more, the original one, it is way more about this real world where these monsters come in to break the mold. The Digimon movie has so many jokes crammed in. Like, even like you said, when the truck goes by, that's supposed to be a serious moment where, oh shit, things are getting real, Agumon is getting wild. But now the truck, hey, did you see that? Oh no, I was closing my eyes.
So
you were driving.
Because I knew you'd complain about this, I specifically was keeping track of all of this. You are right that the dub does try to add jokes. It does not add so many jokes that the sub doesn't have. The sub and dub do share a lot of similar jokes that are just slightly rephrased than the dub. It's not that the dub just added a totally brand new line. A lot of jokes that are in the sub are also exactly in the dub. The dub adds some lines, but it's not like, oh my god, it added a bajillion fucking funny jokes. No, the sub at certain points also tries to just be funny too. I think I'm gonna have to agree with
Ignacio here on this one.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So hey, it's Kyle here. I've been
Kyle is here in the background. Kyle's a producer.
God. Yeah. No, so I only made it through the Digimon movie and then that first short. But yeah, I do have to say, I did not like the Digimon movie. That was awful. But yeah, the differences from what you see in the first 20 minutes of that film to what you see in the short is night and day. The short by itself stands alone. It makes sense. It has room for the characters to breathe. There's silence at certain times, whereas the dub of the English just crams it full of nonsense, and it makes it just it's the same story, but it's just so bloated with stuff that it's just oh man, this is just weighed down, and it's become something else.
Yeah, it is almost like they are afraid of being quiet. They are afraid of losing
sometimes
people.
The subs, especially in the third movie, the sub has so much prolonged awkward silence that it's almost uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, I think the third one does have enough pauses that go on long enough that I'm like, did my computer freeze?
Yeah. And I don't mind silence as long as there's good mood music. But even not really so much in the first short, but there are moments even in there I understand that Kari does talk a lot more throughout the streets with Agumon. She could talk less, but in the sub, there's literally no talking. It's just great. It's just Agumon grunting, and there's no fucking music for a while. And it's it needs. I think maybe not talking, but you need some kind of atmospheric music to kind of, invoke a tone or a sense instead of just dead silence. Because that's just that for me. That just feels too fucking awkward and uncomfortable.
I think that maybe.
So I have problems with both ends of it. I'm not saying the dub is superior, but I'm also not going to say the sub is. They're both good and bad for different reasons.
Yeah,
I want to talk.
Yeah.
I want to say that I think not all of the lines they added to the first segment work, but some of them I like how much Kari is talking because what she's saying, it isn't necessarily jokey. It's things like, okay, let's look both ways before we cross the street. And then they find those soda machines and she's like, we'll just take one each. Like all the things she's saying are very sweet and cute.
Yeah,
like she's really trying to like nurture this new friend that she's made and is, she finds that this friend isn't really attuned to her. This isn't somebody who's acting like another kid. This is somebody who's acting like a strange, unknown animal. How much she starts, you can feel the fear creeping into her voice. She starts screaming. She starts crying. And even this joke where the truck drives past and then the one guy's like, did you see that? And the other guy says, I was sleeping. I think that works okay because it is not clear that like Kari hears that. That's not something that the characters in the movie hear. That's just for us. And it's not the best joke, but it doesn't break the mood as much as I think maybe you think it does because the characters are still scared and you still feel that fear.
And it's not like it's trying to cram the joke down you. It just says it really quick. It reminds me of like movies, like especially watching Marvel movies. It reminds me of like when Marvel can be really serious and then in a serious situation, it can just crack a dumb joke. Like, yeah, you hear it, you can laugh at it, you don't, whatever. All right, now we're moving on. That's what that feels like. Does it need to be there? No, but it doesn't take away being there. It's just whatever. There it is. Don't laugh.
My problem isn't necessarily jokes in there. Like I said, Alan, there are jokes in there. Jokes. No, wait. Like I said, Alan, there are jokes in there. My problem is that it feels like the original one does have jokes, but it isn't constant. It isn't. It is a one-off thing. The only joke that I can think of from the original one is when Ty mentions, "Hey, if they ask, we'll just say that the egg came from whatever."
Yeah, the nuclear farm.
Well, that's in the dub.
That's
another problem.
Yeah, he still wants to say that egg. He's like, oh, let's tell the kids at school this is from our chicken coop. They'll think we just a crazy chicken.
Yeah. Well, we'll go back to that joke in specific. That I think that's the indicative of another problem. But my problem with the dub is that it doesn't stop. It doesn't. It is okay. It does do good to have jokes when they are. There are moments to put in jokes. The dub, what it does it constantly put in jokes. It doesn't let the mood be what it is. It doesn't let the audience get in with the mood.
In the mood of dead silence. Yeah, I'm real in it.
Well, that's another thing because you have a problem with there being dead silence. I think that silence can be good. I think that silence can do a lot to say.
It just does it too much.
Yeah, I think that goes down to personal preference.
I don't have anything else on the first short. The only other thing, because I'll admit that the dub adds a lot of jokes, but I just kind of, if I don't like it, I just ignore it. It's whatever. The one thing I did not like you think that the dub adds a lot of unnecessary jokes and just doesn't stop. You're right. The sub had that really awkward, random, like Koromon's sick, Aval's Agamot, and it's like, hey, I'm home late at night. I'm drunk. I want to say goodnight to the kids. Like, what the fuck is this scene? That did not need to be there.
That's unnecessary. I think that the dad coming in drunk, which if you had never seen that before, if you just seen the Digimon movie and especially the English dub, I think that would be very shocking to have his dad be a drunk.
And in that same scene, there is that stupid line that the mom says, "What's going on there? Did you break another lamp?" It's a dumb joke, but it's still the continuity because in the sub, that's why Ty's holding the door because the dad. But in the dub, that scene's not there, so he's holding it because you assume the mom's trying to get in because it's like, what's that sound? So she says a throwaway joke line to still keep the continuity. But
it is wild the cuts that the Digimon movie does to keep it up continuity.
Yeah, I do think the dub cuts some scenes that honestly did not need to be in it that the sub has in there.
I think that's true.
I do think I think the dub in part 1 and 2 did a good job taking out unnecessary bullshit. But and we'll get there. But in part 3, the sub has too much and the dub takes too much out.
Yeah.
So that's all I got on part 1. Other than that, Music was great. Both sides. I still like both voice acting. I like both scenes. I actually prefer in the sub when Paramount doesn't talk. I like when the villains talk because it gives them personality, but I don't care that Paramount talks in the dub, but I did like the preference of him not talking in the sub. But in part 2, I don't like that Dia Boromon never talks.
Wow. Oh, we'll get to that when we get there.
That's all I got on the first short. I'm done with that
The
one.
last thing that I wanted to talk about was specifically the joke with the egg, which I cannot remember any other joke in the movie, other than that in the original movie, other than that Ty's dad being drunk, which I think that it is a bit weird to have that in there. Yeah. And also we can get into how Ty's dad is never around in the original one.
It's an anime thing. It's whatever.
Yeah. But when I wanted to talk about that one is that one of the few jokes that movie has is that scene where he says, "Hey, we can at least make a giant fried egg with that egg." Yeah. And that's the original one. And then the English dub, what it does is that it takes it so further, where it is, hey, we can just say it came from a chicken coop because it's nuclear ground, and then he says something about the kids. They'll
be so jealous
with other kids. Kids are gonna be so jealous.
He just says that they'll be jealous of us.
So it goes from just being a giant fried egg to, hey, it came from a chicken coop. It is in nuclear waste, and kids are gonna be jealous from it.
But again, it's so minor, like that. Like you just hear it. Who cares? It's so minor.
That's to me is an indication of the problem. The movie it cannot. It has to take it so far. The dub.
Yeah.
So much further.
It bounces off me. I just hear it. I'm like, all right, cool. Then next thing happens.
Then the next joke happens, and then the Rockefeller whatever comes in, and
oh my gosh, yeah.
the whole thing with the bubbles singing the English theme.
Again, but it's such a cool little nod to the show. Like it feels like a nostalgic, cool reference.
Doesn't make sense.
So
okay, let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, let's move on to
Children's
war game.
Our war game
for children.
Children. That's so. The name is weird because if you see, it says if you see in the movie, it says in our alphabet, it says children's war game, but then the Japanese letters say no. Our alphabet says children's war game. The Japanese alphabet says they're our war game. So it is weird that it has two names.
The Diaboromon arc. There you go.
Diablo.
Yeah. The middle part.
Which, did you know there is a sequel to it?
Yeah, it's with Armageddon.
There's a sequel to this particular segment?
Haven't watched it, though.
The Revenge of Diablo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it is good.
Okay.
I like it.
It's back. This is my favorite part of the movie. It always has been. I did like to see the original subtitled version.
Yep.
I think the dub does some things that I appreciate more. I think I like the dub on this one slightly better for a couple of reasons.
Yeah.
Wow.
Honestly, the dub and sub of this version, there are parts of the dub I do prefer. But there is, I know one specific line that's in the sub that's not in the dub that I really appreciate from the sub. But honestly, I could honestly take either or, but I prefer the dub only because I feel like the dub gives me, without going into detail, the ending of the second part I feel in the dub gets me more hyped. I didn't feel that in the sub.
Sure,
I understand. The sub didn't make me hype.
Yeah.
Alan,
yeah, I think.
Thank you for bringing up the word hype, because we're coming into my next big problem with the dub. Is that it feels that with the music specifically, it feels like they are taking so many moments and the music wants to say, isn't this cool? How cool is it? How cool is it blank? How cool is it that these two monsters are fighting? How cool is it that the War Greymon and Metal Garurumon are fusing together? How cool is it that they are fighting together this one giant final monster in the third movie? But that's the thing. It wasn't supposed to be cool. It was supposed to be another thing. It was, for the Omegamon part, It was supposed to be special. It was supposed to be grandiose, even with the music that goes in. It's a miracle. It's something special that's happening. That's why I much prefer the angelical music that plays when Omegamon gets fused, because it is giving reverence to the moment. How it is special that they're
Omnimon
both
is so
fused.
cool. If you're not getting fucking hyped and excited for Omnimon to show up, then you fucked up the scene.
But it isn't.
All right.
It isn't supposed to be a moment of, yeah, let's go, let's rock it, and whatever music plays in the dub. It isn't that. It is, we are about to get nuked. The War Greymon and Metal Garurumon are so fucked, and now this miracle just happened. We can now have the upper hand to destroy all the Diablomons that are getting caught.
It's actually funny because in that same scene, in the sub, Ty never mentions the emails of the kids and everything else, but the dub adds the scene where he goes, the emails keep coming in, they won't stop, but everyone's rooting for you. I like that in the dub better because it's that sense of like, it's not the kids counting on War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, it's everyone in the world coming together. Like, it's not Ty and Matt's love for them that makes Omnimon, it's their love for their Digimon and the collective kids of the world that are forming Omnimon. But that line's not in the sub, so it's just, yeah, I'm here for you. And then emails show up and they form, and it's like, okay, like, that's still fine, but I prefer the unity of, they're all rooting for you. We're all working together.
Yeah, I give to you that the emails forming him comes out of nowhere, specifically because just before that he was slowing them down.
Mm-hmm. You can go ahead.
The dub has one thing I like about the dub's presentation of this scene is that we do have a greater sense of the world at large reacting to this crisis. Like we see the people, all sorts of communities around the world, like tuned into their computers, watching this fight go on. That's something I've always appreciated. And we get these emails coming in. Yeah, I like what you pointed out, Alan, that the dub makes it more clear that the kids are aware that the emails are coming in, that they're for them, that they're like, our Digimon are fighting for everybody now.
Yeah.
The people out there see
in the original, it is more of them commentating.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how can you let yourself be defeated like that?
And this is a very
both
tiny bit.
Yeah, both are fine. It's just whatever you prefer.
There's a small aspect of the dub that I like, which is that Diaboromon has knocked out all of the phone lines, and like they're trying to reach the other digidestined. They're having trouble with it. But in the dub, there's some weird setup where it's like you have to call this number and leave a message and call again to like pick up a message and then leave another message.
It's the same for the dub.
It doesn't, in the sub, it doesn't go in as much detail about how to contact people through the phone lines.
Yeah.
Well, because in the dub,
like the phone lines are still knocked out.
In the dub, you have just Kari telling you, it's like telephone. You call in and then you have to ask if they are. Yada.
I don't remember who says it. I think it's
in the sub.
I think it's Kari in the narration. She goes, "It's like playing phone tag," and like
yeah. Kari just because she's the narrator. She's straight. That
because she's telling it from the future before the events of the third movie.
Kari being the narrator is its own problem with me, where they just have to tell. They have to spell out what's going on. Like in the first one, hey, did you when they start growing, electrical disturbances start occurring.
Yeah,
I can see that. Why are you telling me that?
Yeah, honestly, with Kari's narration, I don't hate it. I could have. I mean, it's a simple thing. I could take it or leave it. If it's there, it's there. It doesn't ruin it for me. But if it was gone, I also wouldn't notice because I don't need it there. So honestly, it doesn't really go either way. Like the sub without having it, that's fine. Didn't notice it was gone. The dub, I watched it. It was there. Didn't ruin the experience. It was fine either way.
How about the joke where he gets so big, like my uncle, whatever, in Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, like we don't need that.
We're not there yet. We're not there yet.
Well, we already went.
Yeah, it was in the first part where like the Digimon grows and she's like, he expands faster than my Uncle Fred at Thanksgiving. Even as a 10-year-old, I'm like, you don't have an Uncle Fred or a Thanksgiving. Like they set the show in Japan. That was always a neat thing about Digimon, is that even in the dub, it was still like distinctly a Japanese show. So when they throw in like very Americanized jokes like that, I'm like, I know, I see through this. I don't need this one.
See,
but what I like about this phone tag bit is that it shows that the people around them, like a society at large, is aware of this problem. They are trying to cope with it. There are people out there besides our protagonists who are trying to do something. I like that the dub did a little bit more effort to show me that. And I think it adds like a little bit more chaos. I love how chaotic and frantic this middle segment is.
Yeah.
And I think that's another strength of the dub. Not that the Japanese voice actors, they did a great job. I really liked hearing all of them. But there's this very high-strung energy to a lot of the American voice actors that I think served this particular segment well.
It's not really in this part of the movie, but it's more in the third, but I do notice it. They both have a problem. Like, there are parts of the dub that feel like the pacing is too fast, that things are happening too quickly. But in the sub, the pacing is also, I feel, bad because the pacing in the sub feels too slow.
Really?
That's why like I don't think either is better than the other, because again, like I can think of it. So one small thing is so I've always wondered this as a kid. When the missile's coming down at the end of the arc and it hits the water in the dub, I always thought to myself, wouldn't the missiles still like explode somehow? Like, wouldn't it still blow up? And because I never thought about it too much, but then I like how in the sub, I think it's Izzy specifically says, if we can defeat Diaboromon, the fuse in the missile will go out. And I'm like, oh, because I'm like, okay, yeah, that's how because I always wonder, like, if the missile still lands, it lost its thruster, but wouldn't it still blow up somehow?
That was helpful.
Going back into that, and Melissa, you said that you like how it felt more like the people were aware of the problem. I think that the sub does a better job with that, because for one, you have all these other kids around the world helping in with the problem. You had the original line that was Willis in the beginning, but in this one, the dub, but in this one is the Russian kid, where he explains where this egg came from. It was a virus.
Like that.
But then you have other lines where this other kid from another place is telling us this one thing, and then this other kid hacked into the Pentagon and is telling us
to know that
the
sub only had 2 scenes of other kids give information. It was the other kid hacking in and figuring out information, give it to Izzy, and the other one were the emails that Izzy was reading that made time at. Other than that, the only other kid scene was Willis sending Izzy an email.
I did like that the original Japanese version had a variety of other kids, whereas the American version, it's like nameless, speechless people or Willis. We're just going to keep teasing Willis. Get ready for Willis.
Willis only, in the second movie, Willis, I think he only really contacted them the one time. So my other thing too is, it's weird. I liked when Paramount didn't speak. I don't like that Diaboromon doesn't talk, because one of my favorite things about Digimon, like, and even the games and the original anime, the English anime, is I like, especially in the dub of a Digimon, the series, I loved Devimon and Mousemon because they spoke. They had like a defined personality. They were menacing. And while Diaboromon in the dub doesn't talk a lot, it does still add stuff to him and does kind of make him seem more menacing. Where in the sub, he just makes sounds, and for some reason, he makes the kind of silly laugh noise as Karamon, which sure makes sense. But then he goes to Inframon and Diaboromon, and he has that same laugh. Like, this is fucking stupid, dude.
Oh, I love it. I love way more the depiction of Diabloman and the whole line in the sub, because it is way creepier. The laugh, when he starts calling in the dub, it is, "Hey, are you Willis?" or "Hey, do you know Willis?" or something like that. In the sub,
he just says, "Do you know who created me?" Which I think creates a good thread line through the movies.
But in the original one, is him just laughing, or not laughing, saying hello, 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 hello.
That's
hello.
not him. That's the phone network saying it.
Well, still, it is him doing it with the voice of the network, wherever. And even when the Digimon get there to fight him, he has an arrow pointing, "Hey, I'm here." Because, and they even explain it in the sub, because even though it is a mega level, an ultimate whatever, it still was just born. It is a game for him. And even when the whole missile thing comes in, and when he starts multiplying, it is still a game for Diablo 1. Where, hey, one of us has the clock, and Easy even says, if he is taking this as a game, and if it is a game, one of them will have a clock, because it is a game for you to find one. And I love it so much because it is way creepier, and it adds to the whole like tone of the movie that I think it is lost in the dub, is that the whole thing is very tense. The stab is super tense, even to the last minute of it. How you have the other characters also counting down with them. You have the nuke coming in. They are getting screwed. They are getting fucked. And it is so tense. This enemy is a fun game for it. And we're getting screwed. It is so tense as to how they are going to get to deal with it. And I think in the dub, the only tension comes in because only from you knowing that there is a nuke coming in. But in the sub, it does such a better job building the tension, building whole.
I always thought Inframan was. I always thought Diaboromon / when he's Inframan. I thought he was menacing because from watching the original series, it's that part where Greymon and Kawaterimon know they can't beat him in their form, so they have to Digivolve. And Inframan, to my knowledge of the original series, the only Digimon that it's like, oh, this long Digivolve sequence that it takes, he's like, I like in the dub where he goes, not so fast, and he stops it. Like, he's one of the only enemies that stops the Digivolution, and you're like, oh my god, this dude's dangerous. He stopped them from Digivolving by fucking them up in the middle of the evolution. For me, that made me, when he goes to Diaboromon, like, when he's like, Inframan Digivolve to Diaboromon, and he has that deep voice, I'm like, oh, dude, we're in trouble. We're in trouble now.
Yeah, I think the dub is also tense. It is toned a little bit differently.
Yeah.
It is not quite as grave, but like I said, it's got this chaotic, frantic energy to it. And I think that works.
Yeah.
And also, I think that, once again, the jokes that they crammed in do a lot to take away from the tension.
There are 3 jokes in the second one that I will wholeheartedly agree with you don't need to be there.
Which are the jokes? There are many.
It is when they first log into the net and Jet, I forget his name. Jet, whatever.
Jenai?
Jenai.
Yeah. When Jenai says, it's going to take a minute for Agumon and Gabumon to get on the net. My modem's older than I am. I'm like, okay, that didn't need to be there. I'm like, okay, that, I will admit, that didn't need to be there. When Agumon and Tentomon are going through the net, and Tentomon says, can we make a rest stop? I have to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
We should have gone before we left. That also didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
My other one is after they get defeated and Ty's like, are you okay? Yeah, don't take me out, coach. That line's fine. It's when Easy checks on Tentomon and Tentomon says, I'm fine. One question. Who's Tentomon? Like, okay, that didn't need to be there. Those are the only 3 that I'm like, these lines could have been completely removed.
There's one joke that they added to the dub that I did like, and I think it's less in the script writing of it and more in the voice acting of it.
Yeah.
Which is when Patamon and Gabumon fly in, and Patamon asks, is TK on this ride? And Gabumon says, he's not tall enough. And like, you can imagine that on the page, it could be said derisively.
Yeah.
But I like how he says it. It's just like a very sweet, doting way, like, oh, he's not quite tall enough yet. Our little TK, our little boy, we fight for him.
And it's the delivery of Patamon going, is TK coming? He's not tall enough.
It comes off very sweet. Some of the jokes that they add in the dub are, they are charming. And I think they're meant to be a little bit more charming than they are funny. Like kind of like how Kari is talking to the Digimon in the first segment.
Yeah. So, but honestly, I think the sub and dub of the second movie, of the second part, I think they're both fantastic.
Very comparable, yes.
I think honestly, the sub does a couple things the dub does better. I think the dub also does some stuff better than the sub. Honestly, I think that part was the most accurately depicted and did best on both sides.
There's one more thing I want
to.
There's one more difference I want to point out, which is that while Ty is going through all of this, Kari is off at her friend's birthday party, and he has to keep calling her for help and interrupting her. Yeah. And in the sub, he like asks their mom, "Hey, did Kari leave you the phone number of the house where she's going to be at?" and he's calling,
That's
you know,
right.
that house's number. And in the dub, it's like Kari took her mom's cell phone with them, which isn't a big difference until you see her pick up the phone.
Yeah.
And then it's like, that is clearly a landline cordless phone. That is not a cell phone at all.
Yeah. Yeah, the dub makes the issue where Kari does pick up a landline phone, but in the dub, Tai does say, "Hey, did Kari take your cell phone with her?" Well, of course she does. It's for emergencies.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, the sub
and then what she picks up is clearly not a cell phone.
The dub says that the sub Tai asks for the house's number.
Yes.
Yeah, she says, there's a memo there with the number of the house.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Which makes more sense with the actual animation.
Was having the problem.
The dub technically had an issue there.
Two things that I want to point out.
Okay.
First of all, did you catch the shameless product placement?
No, I don't pay attention that closely.
What gift does Kari have?
Target?
Oh, the big Power Ranger.
The gift. Who do you think produced the whole thing?
It's Saban. Yeah, but I feel like that works though, because Power Rangers was also huge at that time, so it doesn't stick in your head as
it is
a product.
Japan.
It is, but like that's just the hot toy of that time in general. I feel like regardless if it was coming from the same umbrella company, that's a reference that still makes sense to little kids.
I just wanted to call out the product placement, the shameless product placement.
What's the second
Saban.
thing?
I think it's a very. I think it diegetically makes sense.
The second thing
sure,
is
it is product placement for their own. Their own toy. But
no, wait.
It
three
tracks.
things.
It tracks. It's logical, also.
Three things. One other short one that I just remembered. How they had to cut out this scene where the little girls are playing poker.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
is that when Tai calls Kari the second time?
Yeah, he calls her 2 times, and in the dub, he only calls her once. And there's the whole, hey, the magician's gonna cut me in half.
The sub,
the second half come in.
It's so minor. The sub did not need that second Kari scene. Like, I'm glad it wasn't there. You didn't need it twice.
No, but I like how they had to cut it out because it was poker, kids playing poker. And also when he calls Sora, I like it so much better in the sub how she says, yeah, Sora just says she isn't here, instead of the dub where she says, hey, yeah, wrong number.
Yeah. Yeah, I will admit that I do like the sub doing that better. I do like in the dub though when he complains and he mentions the hair clip, and then you see the scene of Sora reading, checking for emails, and she has the hairpin. The sub Tai never mentions that until way later, and it's like I like the fact that you have there's like this small mini arc of Tai and Sora making up together.
The mystery. Mystery. But the thing that I wanted to give a shout out is the people that dubbed it in Latin America. Like I mentioned before, the Digimon movie, they had to dub it from the English one, of course, which is so different from what they would have been accustomed to, which is being dubbed straightly from Japan. And I like how there are certain things that were added to the English stuff that they were just, fuck this. One thing is when Koromon, Kari says, hey, I'm Kari, and that's my brother Tai. And in the English one, he says, hey, Kari, Tai.
Yep.
In the Latin American dub, it is so much natural. Okay, hey, Kari, hey, Tai. And in the other one is how, like I mentioned before, prodigious is a thing that the English dub added. The 2 times that Easy had to say it in the dub, he just says it in a way where he's just like, we're not gonna give any attention to this thing. He says prodigious. What did he say? It doesn't matter. It already went through. It isn't like in the dub.
In the dub, it's Izzy's password to get on the internet.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. But I like how in the dub, he says prodigious once before. And he says it's like so fast in the dub, the Latin American dub, that it's like it just passes by.
Yeah. But
I just want to give a shout out to that whole team.
Both knockouts though. I did like them both.
Also, Alan, how much of the original music had you heard before?
What do you Mainly the Digivolve theme.
Okay, Braveheart. So
Mm-hmm.
the whole butterfly thing that plays at the beginning of the second movie.
Butterfly and Braveheart are the two that I know. So when I heard Braveheart, I did get excited, and that's one part I really loved. But it doesn't beat out the dub, but the dub doesn't beat out the sub. They're both fine.
And then the O2 theme and Digivolution theme. Had you heard those before?
I think so. I can't quite remember, but again, old memories. They're a little hard to dig up from the bottom.
Just a shame. A shame in general for the English dub in general of the show that they decided to take those away. They are so great.
I liked all the music that I heard in the Japanese version. I wasn't familiar with any of it. But like Alan was saying earlier, sometimes it felt like this is a good piece of music, but I'm not sure it belongs here. Or like in the second segment, like they'd play this one music track like too long over too much of a variety of scenes. Like I don't think all of these 3 scenes that have happened in this time span should have had that same musical track under them.
And again,
and the
I was just gonna say, I think all the music in the sub is still fine. I just feel, as Melissa said, it just doesn't always fit what's happening.
Fine, how dare you say fine? But yeah, no, the background music is, I believe it is specific for the movies. I'm more talking about, Melissa, I don't know if you've heard the themes before, but the theme that plays at the credits of the first movie.
Oh, I don't watch the credits, dude. Who fucking watches the credits? Who the fuck watches the credits?
Well, okay, so in the opening credits of the second movie, that song that plays is the opening theme of Digimon.
Yeah.
Which in the US you got the Digimon, that keeps repeating.
Right when each movie ended and the credits started playing, I dipped out. I was like, "Yep, I'm done. I watched it. We're good."
And then when they digivolve for the no, Braveheart plays twice, or does it play once?
It plays for both evolutions.
Okay, so when they digivolve, that's a theme for the Digivolution. Again, instead of in the English dub where they again play the Digimon. I just want
it's an iconic song. People like it.
So it's just the same thing over and over again.
Who cares? People listen to pop music that just repeat lines in modern music.
But is it because it's good or because it's nostalgic?
Both.
No.
People listen to music that repeats lines in modern music and they're top on Billboard charts. You fucking tell me. Is it actually good or is it nostalgic? No, the fucking song came out. It's good.
Moving on to the third movie.
God.
You guys have no taste.
The third movie.
Carl, if you're still there, I recommend you watching at least our working.
You can't talk to the
Yeah, I do recommend watching the second one. Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know.
So moving on to the third segment, it's time to move right along on our trip to America. I was surprised at how much was in this original story.
Yep.
Like I said, when I was a little kid watching this third segment, it always felt off to me. I was never sure what it was. And now I see how much stuff was missing. They cut all of the senior digidestined out. Like there was that scene with Kari and TK at the beginning, and I'm like, I had no idea Mimi was here once, and now she's just gone.
When Mimi pops up, how surprised were you?
I figured she must have been there originally, and I didn't remember. I knew that I did not remember all the cutaways to like all the other digidestined, and then they get like sucked up into like a void somewhere. But I thought maybe there was a scene in the American movie where like they did go visit Mimi because I think she was studying abroad in New York City. No, she was never there.
The third one has the wildest cuts, where specifically for the Mimi thing, I just watched it today. How in the original one it is Mimi, she just disappears and her laptop falls down. In the English stuff is the scene starts and is like they take the photo and then they show the shot where the laptop is dangling and she asks, hey, did the photo come well? No, it didn't. Or something like that.
Yeah, there's no explanation, which did
It has
always
a
puzzle me.
weird
Like, why
discuss.
is your laptop just hanging there from a cord attached to what?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?
See, I'm not on either side on the third part of the movie, because I think the sub is bad, and I think the dub is also just as bad. And again, they're both bad for different reasons. I do not like. At one point on the third part, I paused my computer to go to the bathroom, and I was at like 41 minutes, and I was like, "Holy fuck! How is this movie not fucking done yet?"
Very long. It feels long.
And it's and it's only an hour. It feels like because the pacing is so slow.
Yes.
Yeah. Again, you have to remember that it is supposed to be 2-part.
Okay. I think that does help a little bit. Watching the original Japanese version was an illuminating experience. Everything made a lot more sense in my head. But this, I've mentioned that I feel like I like what the music is, but I don't like how it is used.
Yep.
And it's like the music for the third segment is, let's set the atmosphere. They're here in America. What's American music? I think it's Old West music and the theme to Frasier.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's score the whole episode with that.
I specifically think of that music that plays when all the rookie Digimon are fighting the true not Shuriman, but the virus form of him. Like, I don't know what the fuck that music was. I did not like that. But I also don't like the music that plays in the dub version either. Like, well, I like the ominous music uses for that part, but I don't like the run around song that's used earlier. Like, I don't like the music. I don't like the music picks in the dub, but I don't like the musical tone of the sub.
Yeah, I think that for that
I agree.
part in particular, the biggest problems with these, for me, with the dub come with the fight of how they handle them fighting this infected Digimon, which he keeps calling him Kokomon, and his Terriermon he keeps calling them Gamimon.
Yeah, it's Chocomon and Gummymon, which is cute. I like those for a pair of siblings.
He calls them by their baby forms.
Yeah, but if you didn't know, that's the name of them as a baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he never stops calling them that name.
I didn't realize that. That's a neat aspect to it.
Yeah, because the guy with the things here, that's Terriermon, and then the other guy, the bad guy, is called Wendigomon.
Yep.
Wendigomon. Ooh.
Now I have like so.
Oh well, I didn't get into my problem.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, my core problem is how they treat them having to fight these. What's essentially the partner of a chosen kid that has gone bad. How they in the dub they treat it so like, hey, it's a bad guy. We'll just kill him. We'll just deal with him. Whereas in the original one, they struggle way more with that. You have that scene where Davis and Willis are talking in the woods. Yeah. And in the original one, the reason Davis starts crying is because he feels so sad that his Digimon has gone bad and they have to fight him. And he wouldn't want to be in that situation where they had to fight and kill Vmon. And then what the English dub does that is, oh, this is the saddest story I've ever heard.
Yep.
Hey, why are you crying? It's my thing. Okay. And then when they are fighting...
The dub fucked this one up bad.
And then when they are fighting, the dub takes it with such levity. So they keep cramming in jokes that do not belong there.
Yes, the jokes are the absolute worst in this part.
But there's one scene where they are fighting him as Antilomon, the big rabbit. And it's supposed to be this scene where they don't want to hurt that Digimon, but in the dub, they start cracking up jokes. Like when they cut to Housekeeping, the big hawk Digimon, the dub has a joke where he says, can we get this over with? I'm on vacation.
Yep.
Motherfucker, they are fighting his partner.
See, this is the thing, Ignacio. When I tell you I like the Digimon the movie, I don't include part 3 because I don't like that part of the dub.
Yeah.
Like when
Okay.
and I
Good
know
to
it's
know.
all part of the whole thing, but when I
Yeah.
think of Digimon the movie of what I love, it's that second part. It's not this third part. I've never really enjoyed this third part, and I also don't enjoy it in the sub. And to go into it, like my problem with this third part, like when I watched it, is because it felt so long, I started tuning myself out mentally the latter half. So all of my big issues are in the beginning. The dub fucks up by taking so much out. Now, I
Yeah.
will admit that the sub I felt leaves too much in, where also things don't make sense. So bear with me here.
Okay.
He talks near the end, Wendigomon and the evil Digimon. I don't like that he doesn't talk at the beginning, and this is also probably because of my dub knowledge. I don't like that there's this scene of all the Digidestined from 01 vanish. But yet then there's a part where they're on the train and Wendigomon makes the train people disappear. But for some reason, if he didn't want anyone to get in the way of Willis, why the fuck did he take TK and Kari? Like now you're gonna be fucking inconsistent. You're gonna take, and also, how do you take all these people from Japan when they're in New York? The fuck are these powers?
Okay, so do you get why he was taking the original?
Yeah, he took them
Chosen
because
Children?
he's rewinding time, because I guess that's a power you have, to find Willis when he's young to go back to what things used to be.
Yeah,
And I get that. That's the whole point. But the dub took so much out, but at least it added things that made sense. Where the sub, literally there's a part in the sub where I like in the dub where Wendigomon says, go back, and he's struggling because he's fighting the virus that's killing him. And he tells Willis, like, go back to what? And he says, go back to the beginning. Willis gets the idea, go back to that flower field where it happens. But that's not in the sub. So when Willis goes, we're going to the flower field. How the fuck do you know that? Why would you go there? You weren't told and you have no hint.
No, that's because in the sub, he thinks that's him thinking, hey, maybe if I go back there, he'll be there.
And also,
because that's their childhood place.
And also in the part 2, when Izzy says, yeah, Willis is a kid, but like he's in elementary, but he takes college classes. Not gonna lie, Willis, kind of fucking stupid for apparently being said in the dub that he's in college, takes college classes. Willis, you're kind of stupid.
Yeah. Also, the reason why he was taking the original ones was because he wanted. Yeah. He was looking for Willis, and the one thing that he was using to look for them was their Digivice. They had the same Digivice as Willis, that's why he was taking them, because he was looking for this kid. And so when he goes to get Kari and TK, it is understood that their Digivices are what keep him away from them. But it is a bit weird that he does kidnap the people on the train. But I think that that's more him.
It's just plot convenience.
Trying to get rid of them. That he get in the way, more or less.
I don't like how in part 2 in the sub, Willis talks to the Japanese kids in the email, obviously cluing in information that, Digimon, Japan. But for some reason, the sub, when you meet older Willis, he goes, I didn't know Japanese kids had Digimon. Fucker, you emailed them in the last movie. You fucking knew. You take college? What'd you take? Sleep class?
I mean, maybe it is a different Willis. It could be a different Willis. Again, these movies aren't supposed to be connected.
All these mini youths named Wallace out there in the world.
No, wait a second. No, in the original
2000.
Wait.
It literally connects Willis to being the same kid. All right,
Alan. The second movie, Our War Game, the kid that you're thinking of is from Russia.
No, in the sub, he gets the email from Izzy. Literally mentions the kid Willis.
He mentions a kid from Russia.
No.
Yes.
I watched it this morning. I'm gonna watch it again.
Here. I've watched it more than once.
But regardless, like, it doesn't matter what the problems are. Like, maybe this is just me and I'm so disconnected. I don't have a lot of affinity for the O2 cast. Like, I don't particularly care for Cody. I don't like what is she in English? Yolene? I don't particularly care for her. And Davis, I get Davis is his own character, but Davis literally feels like a Thai knockoff, and Davis is so energetic that he comes off annoying in both versions.
Yeah.
Davis is just annoying. And then Willis has like no personality.
That's one of
Willis
the
is
complaints
like,
people
oh,
have.
hey.
Yeah, one of the complaints that people have with the whole Digimon saga is O2 of these characters. I think that they can be hit or miss.
It has Ken, but Ken's not in here.
Yeah.
Ken's the best part.
He is
weird
the best.
how he isn't there.
And TK and Kari, they're good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sweet.
I think that Willis's whole thing is how, in the sub specifically, how he comes out of is a bit weird. First of all, you guys will have a better input on this than me, but I feel like Willis, when he speaks English, it kind of like it feels like weird to me the way he's
weird. Yes.
And also,
and I hate the universe explanation. I dated a girl that spoke Japanese.
Well, that explanation is weird because he isn't consistent about how with his mother he sometimes speaks in English, sometimes he speaks in Japanese, and I do not like how when he sometimes he refers to Chuckamon as Chuckman. Chuckman.
Yeah, dude, Willis honestly is like one of the weakest parts of this arc too.
Weird.
I don't like him.
Yeah. Also, did you notice how the dub tries its best to not have them hitchhike or hitching a ride?
Yes. Yeah, like they invent an uncle that Yoli has in America.
Yeah.
They are all. Every mode of transportation is just someone that they are related to. Where
that they just bump into.
Yeah, in the region one is just them. The flight one is the weirdest one because it is them using the frequent flyer miles.
Yeah.
And then the first car that they get into, I feel that guy to me was very weird. Like a very weird portrait.
He's weird in both of them.
Yeah. But yeah. And then the next one is the plane, which I think they do not explain how they get that one. And then the other one is them hitching a ride. And then the funniest one is them calling for a pizza.
Yep. My one thing I don't like is I don't like these flashbacks where it tries to detail Willis being so loving of his Digimon, he cares about them so much. But literally anytime Terriermon talks to Willis goes, "Shut up."
Well, I don't care that you're hot.
He doesn't want him to talk about their connection to.
Like I love you, Terriermon, but you shut your mouth for 5 fucking minutes. Like
that's one thing that I wanna shout out the sub is that they do a good job of keeping the secret of them being related, of Terriermon and Wendigomon being twins and how they connect to Willis. I think that they do such a great job in that one, whereas in the dub, of course, they tell you from.
I mean, in the sub though, it's very easy to pick up on just from the one flashback. You're like, oh hey. At least for me, it's like, oh yeah. They're connected.
And also, I want to give a shout out to the last act of the movie that is them fighting these Kerpimon is what his last version is called. And watching it right now, it got me super sad. I rewatched it today. And it got me super sad, them having to fight it. And even the part where they are getting so beaten by Kerpimon, where they are taken back to their baby forms. And that scene, where even when they are babies, they jump in and they do the thing where it's just a still image. And then Kerpimon's piece comes in. And it is implied the damage that they do, but I think that one scene is super strong.
Yeah, I will admit that last fight is more emotional, but I will admit that it obviously it is miles better than the sub. But again, my issue still comes down to the music choice, or just how it handles it, and also the fact that because the movie felt so long, by the time I got there with all these long, prolonged scenes, I feel like I wasn't invested because I was so bored leading up to this emotional climax.
For me, it was difficult to like emotionally connect with this third segment because it's got such an odd dreamlike tone to it.
Yeah.
And I kind of like how it's directed, how it has a lot of intense close-ups on the characters' faces. I think that's an interesting choice. But they're walking through America. Even when they're in New York City, every landscape, every setting they're in is like so empty. It feels like these kids are just alone in the world.
Yeah.
They get out into like the American West, and it's like such soft, like watercolor style backgrounds to the point where things just sort of fade off into white nothingness at the edges. It feels like they're walking around in a place that is not real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I'll give the dub though, because the virus is killing him or hurting him or whatever, I do like that one scene in the dub where when Rapidmon Gold version and Magnamon are inside. I do like that part where leading up to the whole talking. I like that emotional part where he points and just says like destroy and then points at himself and he's like choking over it.
Aww.
I did like that because then I'm like, oh man, now I feel bad because he doesn't want to destroy them. He wants them to kill him.
Yeah, but I
like
feel
that part I like better in the.
Aaron.
I like that better in the dub, but probably because I felt like I got there faster. It didn't take me what felt like forever to get there.
I'd like it more in the sub because I feel it is way more earned. Them killing them, even when Dingomon or Kirpimon here, he only goes good once he sees the babies getting beaten down, and he sees Jolie and her Digimon getting all wrapped up, and that's when he remembers that. Okay, that's like me with Willis, and that 1 second of it is where the one opportunity that the real one, the non-evil version of him, can finally come out, and that's when Magnamon and Rapidmon are and
he doesn't transform out to go his heart. He transforms because they destroyed the virus inside him by killing him. That's what transforms him to the angelic state.
I do not mean that. When he appears as like a spectral form or whatever, that's to me that's the second of clarity that he has, that he gives them to kill him. That's the second.
When the projection of his baby form shows up.
In.
Okay, I thought you meant when he became his angelic good form.
No, and even in that part, again to the whole thing of them not wanting to fight him, them feeling bad of fighting him. The sub has a thing where Magnamon asks him, or I don't remember if he asks Rapidmon if it is okay, or if Rapidmon tells Magnamon that, hey, it's okay, go for it.
Yeah.
And so I think that all of that, to me, it does such a better job at the whole them killing him at the end.
Yeah, I don't really have many more opinions on the third part. The sub of the third part is the vastly superior version, but I also don't like the sub. I don't like the sub version either though, because it's just too long. It just feels like it's also uneven in parts.
One thing that it is. Oh, sorry, Melissa.
No, I was going to say, like, I really appreciated watching the third segment so that I could understand what it was originally supposed to be. It was able to make sense to me now for once. But yeah, it is a little the pacing doesn't work for me, and the use of music that sounds like public domain versions of like the theme to Frasier or Seinfeld. Or like generic Western banjo music, sad harmonica music. Like I could not connect with the score. I didn't get it. I think it set it in its place as being from 2000s America, but I don't think it set the tone.
Yeah, honestly, the third part just needs to get better music mixing and slightly better pacing, and it would be perfect.
Yeah, I think that the pacing is its biggest problem. I think it goes so hard at setting the mood that it does it to its own detriment, where they take so long with the fights and stuff like that to set up the mood. One thing that I think that both versions do super bad is when they finally get the golden Digi-eggs, or the Digimentals, as they are called in Japanese. Yeah. How it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, in both versions, it just happens.
Yeah, I think that the sub does it
At least
better.
at least in the dub, they do mention that we got to release them. The sub just pulls it out of nowhere. The dub at least tries to be like, hey.
No, both do that. I think the sub does it a little bit better because in the dub it kind of comes off as they know it. They know what they have to do. Hey, let's just transform into our stronger faces. Whereas in the dub, it comes out of nowhere, but it at least feels like we do not know what's going on, but we just feel like we have to do it.
And in the translation, the text error is that Angelwoman is in her ultimate form, and Kari says to Angelwoman, hey, evolve into your ultimate form. Bitch, I'm in it. I'm in it right now.
That's a problem of the sub. The version that I watched it also had the sub wrong there. They do say it correctly in Japanese.
Yeah.
They say the correct name of it in Japanese, but it is the dub that says it wrong.
But yeah, because I don't have anything else, but like the part 1, like the first part, I prefer it dubbed, but the sub's also just as great. Part 2, I prefer it dubbed. The sub's literally on par with it. And part 3, the sub beats it, but I don't like either for different reasons.
I might be with Alan on this one. I hold the dub close to my heart. I think it's a little hokey. The editing and the rescripting isn't always graceful, but the way it layers just ska songs over a lot of montages is also unnecessary. But I learned to appreciate the score comparing it to the Japanese version. Not that I like the Japanese music, I just rarely understood why it was there.
Yeah.
And I think the...
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
I just want to say, I also... I was fun to reconnect with the American voice cast. It was good to hear both of them, but I gained a new appreciation for the American voice cast. It felt good to hear their voices again, and like I said, I think that like high-strung energy served the story well at some points.
And yeah, as that thing, like Melissa's right. Like if the sub just had better music placement or better mood setting, I don't mean it needs to change the music completely. It just needs to mix it better or have better tone.
Just put it somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere else or shorten it or something. If the sub got its music mixing together, the sub would be the better version.
I think so.
Because for me, the music for the sub is what held it back the most.
I'll give you that. I only give you that the first one uses this theme a bit too much. That's it. I completely disagree with the music. I think it is perfect and it is way better.
You like the Frasier theme? You like the Frasier theme playing
I do not
over
remember
all
any
these...
Frasier theme. I don't even know the theme.
It just all sounds like generic coffee house jazz.
Yeah. The music,
Sure.
Besides the popular songs, it doesn't stand out.
How didn't we talk about it ending with All Star?
It's an iconic song. I don't know. It's whatever.
I think it was like
required
for
I
think like at least 5 movies a year at that time had to play All Star.
Do you mean the credits
like
played All Star?
Or something?
Did the credits play All Star?
No, the credits. I don't know if the credits did, but they carried us a whole thing of, hey, sometimes the Digimon come back to life, and sometimes they come in singing a different tune. And then Smash Mouth comes in. And they...
unnecessary.
By that, unnecessary, but by that point, we're in credit territory almost, and I tune out.
And also,
we're about there. We're about there.
Also, when Digimon dancing, that's just a lot of other scenes of him.
Yep,
from fights being cut out and put it together to have him sing to like his dancing.
But you can't ask me. You can't ask me how I feel about all that because I already told you the dub version of the third part of the movie is bad. So I'm with you. It sucks.
I know. Also, I like how one YouTuber that I watch, Billion, put it. Is that the Digimon movie can be summed up as the first 3 Digimon movies, but the end is Smash Mouth. So it's a meme. It's just a meme.
There you go.
But of course, by far prefer the original ones to the dub versions. I think that the dub, what it does is that it takes a lot of the feeling of it, the ambient of it, the tension, the way that you're supposed to feel in the original ones, and they just try to force this other tone into it. It's not going to be tense, it's going to be fun. It's not going to be something special, something majestic, it's going to be something cool. And that's my whole problem with it.
Yeah. I see that. Yes.
Yeah. And that's totally fair. That's fair. It's just people like different things. I've never told you were wrong for liking the sub. You're totally fine liking the sub. You're the one that's told me I'm wrong for liking the dub. So
thank you for respecting my opinion.
I've never disrespected your opinion. You've disrespected me.
Yeah, no way in hell I'm gonna say you're right.
I think this was a wonderful learning opportunity for everybody. A time when we could all just celebrate Digimon and how much it means to all of us. And I'm very grateful that I was presented the opportunity to watch this original Japanese content. I think that was finally 20 years later. I know what the heck this movie was made out of.
Yeah, and same. I'm really glad I watched the sub of the movie.
Yeah, I know. Of course, I'm exaggerating about
just
Alan, you can like whatever you want. It is fine. I'm not. If
just
you like
drop the chip you got on your shoulder. Just drop it.
So be it. I of course play it up for the joke of it.
I know.
Alan, of course, he's a good sport. He allows me to just beat him down and tell him how wrong he is.
And we can all admit that the best Digimon ever is Gabumon.
No, it's Agumon.
Gabumon's good.
Agumon.
It's Pikachu. We all know it's Pikachu. Let's just end it with that.
Ignacio, it used to be Agumon used to be my favorite, but now I love the Gabumon family. Except Gurumon. Gurumon, you're kind of ugly. I'm sorry.
Wow, the disrespect, man. How dare you?
Okay,
How dare you?
Now that we're wrapping up our discussion on Digimon, it's time for me to check in on my review show bingo card. Kyle, you haven't been talking much, but I suppose you're still eligible to play.
Kyle, you're here.
If anything is able to cross off a bingo square for you. Finally,
but he didn't watch
Ignacio
it. He didn't watch it.
He watched some.
I watched anything.
If anything he watched can count off a bingo square, we count it.
He watched the wrong version. He should have instead only watched the original movies and not the Digimon
He
movies.
watched whatever version he wanted to watch. Both are correct in different ways.
He was wrong.
But thanks to the dub version, I'm finally able to cross off this square on my bingo sheet. If you're here and I'm here, then who's driving the bus?
I'm glad for you, Melissa. I'm glad that...
Well, that scene where the truck drives past and the guy's like, "Did you see that?" And the other guy says, "No, I was sleeping." And then he says,
"You're driving,
but you're driving." There it is. Finally, I have it. I've gotten an additional bingo. I'm a 2 bingo lady now. Woo! Thank you to the Digimon dub.
Damn it.
God bless. Hey, Melissa, how much did that box of chocolate cost? 1,100,000.
This must be really expensive chocolate. Will that be paper or plastic?
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything that I can mark down.
Ooh.
So I don't have a courtroom scene. I don't have an actor who appears as themselves. I don't have a death by electrocution. I don't have all that stuff. So I think
if Paramount would have killed anyone, then you would have gotten it.
Potentially. But I think this is another week where I have to say I didn't get anything. So no, I still have 1 bingo, but Melissa now has 2, so I'm a little bit behind. So there we go.
Got him.
Should have watched the original ones. They might have been a courtroom in there.
Hey, you should have put the same thing Melissa did and watched the dub. You could have got the bus one.
He watched the dub.
No, that's not on my.
Yeah, they have different.
I'm saying if he would have had it on there and watched it, he would have gotten it.
Yeah.
You know how the English sub likes cutting out death. They might have been out death by electrocution.
Melissa.
Yeah?
We are about to start Shame-Tember. Do you want to tell everyone what Shame-Tember is?
Shame-Tember is a new tradition we started last year. where we spend 2 weeks out of the month, a week for each of us, looking at movies that we should have seen already. And these can be things that any human being should have seen by the time they're like 30 years old, or things that are personal to us. Why have you specifically never seen that movie? That's really up your alley. That's such a you movie. You haven't done that before? So welcome to Shame Timber, everybody. I get the first set of Shame Timber pitches. And Kyle, my theme is famous sequels. These are additional installments in franchises where I saw the first movie and never went on to see these famous sequels, even though they're all very well regarded, perhaps even more highly regarded than the first movies that I did see.
Okay, so that's you, Melissa, who hasn't watched them. It isn't.
Yeah, I have not seen these. Yeah, we haven't gotten to the point yet where we like pitch for each other, where I make Kyle watch Spirited Away, because I don't know why he hasn't seen Spirited Away yet.
Oh, come on.
I think I have actually seen that one now, but...
What? You would know. You would know if you've watched Spirited Away in the last year. Last year you told me you hadn't seen it. Okay.
I hadn't seen it last year, but there could have been, let's see, Howl's Moving Castle.
You could have seen it in the last year.
I know, I watched it because it's kind of funny, the whole Ghibli thing. There, I watched it. I don't know, you, Kyle,
hey, on brand. With that. Shame on Kyle.
Okay, so my 3 pitches are, and these, you know what these are. I'm not going to describe them. You will know by title alone. Okay. Kyle, I have never seen Aliens, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, or Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Wow.
I've never seen any of those.
Well, I've never
seen
Aliens.
You may join us then.
I've never seen Aliens. Kyle, I know what you should pick, but it's up to you.
So I've seen all the Indiana Joneses. Unfortunately, I've seen all of them. Let's see. I watched Alien when I was really young. I don't remember if I've seen any of them. I would like to know more about the Alien franchise, so I think I'm gonna go with that one.
All right.
But I know that Terminator 2 is very, very highly regarded.
Yeah.
Have you watched that one?
Yes, I have seen both of those, and then I don't know which ones I've seen after that, but I've seen like 1 or 2 after that, and then I was just like, whatever. But yeah, let's do Aliens next week.
Aliens.
Yes,
the S is important. Next week, join us.
Indeed. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Melissa, I will let you wrap up the show.
All right. We glossed over recommendations because this is kind of an atypical episode, but I ought to ask you guys if people like Digimon in any form that we may have watched it this week. Is there anything else you would recommend? I know, Ignacio, you mentioned Summer Wars.
Yeah, Summer Wars is basically the same story as our war game, but just made a standalone movie. It does have a lot of the same beats of our war game, but still, I think it is a fine movie. Another movie from the same director, Mamoru Hosoda, is The Girl Who Left Through Time, which is also a movie that I would recommend. That I know it is one of those anime movies that a lot of people talk about. And then, of course, I would recommend to anyone that they watch Digimon Adventure in the original English dub, if possible. I rewatched that one so many times, and I think even to this day it holds up. The animation maybe at the beginning can be a little bit iffy, but I think that the themes that they touch upon and the character developments, I think that it still holds up. And also, if you watch these movies, watch Revenge of the Aboromon, the sequel to our war game.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Ignacio kind of stole my recommendation, but also stuck in the realm of Digimon, where if you like Digimon and you want to watch it, and you want to see what they're doing with the new rebooted anime, watch the Digimon Adventure.
Yeah, Adventure 2020.
Well, yeah, it's the Digimon Adventure. it's a reboot of the original Digimon, but it's sub. So if you don't like dubs, which is totally fine.
Well, you have no option.
You can watch that because it's only sub.
So, yeah.
And if you like Digimon, as the meme pick, if you like Digimon, I mean, by association, you've kind of got to like Pokemon. Maybe go watch Pokemon. Maybe.
Watch the Pokemon movie.
But also don't, because Digimon's actually better than Pokemon. So I don't really know what to tell you. But if you want to watch Pokemon, watch Pokemon.
show games, Pokemon games are better, but the show is way better than Digimon.
Yeah, Digimon. Always a richer cast, more fleshed out characters. I always appreciated that. Lacked a Team Rocket though. If Pokemon did not have Team Rocket, Digimon would win so much harder for me. But I'm a Rocket girl to like.
And Digimon's got guns in it, so I mean, there's a Digimon that just has guns on their arm. I don't know what to tell you.
What version are we talking about? It depends.
They got guns.
We saw Digimon that had guns and jeans.
There is a Digimon that's straight up a gun.
When he digivolves, Will, it says he's got pants now.
He does have pants now.
It doesn't shoot bullets. It shows like these energy pellets in the English stuff.
They're pretty much bullets, though.
Also, the dub took away any mention of alcohol in the original one.
Oh. All right.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Where can people find you guys on the internet?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Ignacio Rojasb. That's IGNACIOROJASB. Psychic Cal, I did it good this time.
Hell yeah.
All right. You can find me at Twitter at Alan Busby, which, I mean, if I want me to spell that to Ignacio, that's ALANBUSBEE, where I post pictures of me playing cards with my friends on Fridays.
Wait, was it you, Cal, who gave me shit for messing it up last time? That was you, right?
That was me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to know that the Psychic Cal was granted. It was deserved. They had made a mistake.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Wilkywit. That's WILKYWIT. And particularly if you enjoyed this week's conversation, you should listen to my other podcast, Saturday Morning Obscurities, where me and my brother Jams talk about weird old kids shows you feel like only you remember. And our latest episode is on another anime that shared the same Fox Kids Saturday morning block alongside Digimon. You can hear us talk about Flint the Time Detective.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Listen to it then, because Flint the Time Detective is a weird show.
All right.
Learn of it, please. Kyle?
You can find me at Yo Kyle Springer at Twitter. And that's about it.
The voice beyond.
The one above all, Kyle.
Yeah, the voice from beyond.
All right, thanks guys for joining us on this fun, interesting new type of episode. We hope you'll join us here again next week for Aliens. Bye.
Bye. Prodigious, actually.